Well, folks, we made it back here, 4,200. We've taken it out with a couple closes. Let's make a strong bid. Let's keep it above there today. Chipwreck in China, who cares? We're going to buy other stuff. Apple downgrade, who cares? Meta down on EU news, who cares? They're buying that up. Folks, this is Monday. This is pre-market prep. Let's get it started.
Coming to you live from downtown Detroit, this is Benzinga's Pre-Market Prep with your host, Joel Elconin.
This is a volatile puppy here, isn't it?
And Dennis Dick.
I'm bidding a penny. I'd buy that stock for a penny.
With everything you need to start your trading day.
All right, good morning. We're up 2 3/4 handles at 42.0775. Little dip overnight, but right back green on the session. High close for the move. That was made on Thursday at 42.12, and also the high on Friday. That's your high of the move, 42.2775. You have the buck at 103, right on the nose. That's down 7 cents. Bonds flat at 127 and 6/30 seconds. Crude quietly moving away from $70. That's up 36 cents at 72.05. Gold in the red by 640, 1975.20. Silver under 24. That's down 14 cents at 23.92. And but Bitcoin futures, they're pretty flat, down $35 at 26,850. Long time no see with Triple D. Triple D, how you doing out there?
Hammered on it. So I'm trying to work out. I was good until 8 a.m. Eastern here, and I'm on the wrong side of news here. So I don't even want to talk about it. But
You're scrambling? Okay.
Yeah, I'm
okay.
scrambling here. Holy mackerel. So that's one of those days looks like it's going to be. But it was already not a good day, and it just went and imploded on me. So this is the life of a trader.
8 o'clock, the 8 o'clock news blitz. Okay. All right. Let's bring in long lost money Mitch here. And Mitch, how you doing today?
Not bad at all. Not bad at all. Just getting ready to get back into, of course, the wheelhouse. Of course, when you miss a couple days, you got to really start getting right back into tune with the market. One thing that I could clearly see is we did get to the famous 420 on the SPY last week. So that's something definitely to point to. And that would have been where I called the bull market. Now we're pulling back a little bit from that. So I think that maybe we could get a little bit of pullback. But at this point, I think, to be kind of bearish is kind of on the wrong tune here, at least unless the price action completely starts
we can, you know what's
reversing,
interesting too is this debt ceiling. I don't know how many people have, you talk, oh, are you worried about the debt ceiling? I'm like, well, there's a lot of other things to worry about, but the market still, seems to be climbing higher. I believe we have some speeches going on right now. It's going to get done. It's just a matter of if and when, and who wants to, hold out longer and who wants to do the haggling. But let's get to some stocks this morning because we've been led by tech, right? The whole way up. A lot of this by the big boys, by the big chippers. Nvidia, AMD, but China's trying to put a little dent in that rally today with not being nice to Micron. What do you got for me?
All right, let's get to that news. Of course, I'm going to put it on the banner there, and I just fixed the title there. I saw you chat mention that. Appreciate you guys like always. Let's get to the action here. Of course, China's administration here, cyberspace administration, said that Micron's products had failed its network security review, posing threats to its national security. The administration said that operators of critical information infrastructure in China should stop purchasing Micron products. Of course, we'll see how this affects other chip stocks today. We can definitely take a look underneath the hood. What relationships do you think will get hit the most on this, Dennis?
Oh gosh, I'm still buried here, so I'm just trying to get out of this hole here.
Okay.
It's bad when you have news and you're doing a live podcast and the news hits at 8 o'clock and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm scrambling. Just one stock here that I'm in.
No worries.
Yeah, so I'm trying to concentrate on the show. I was like all ready for the show, and you get nailed.
I'll
with
talk
news.
first. I'll give you.
Go, and I'm trying to get
Should
out
we
of the hole.
start at
Exactly, Dennis.
8:15? Start
No
at
worries, no
go.
worries.
You guys are
He got-
good. You guys
he got
don't need
8 a.m.
me.
news,
I
so-
did by myself, or with Aaron. Me and Aaron last week. You guys got this.
You can do it.
Exactly. So Micron, right? Of course, one thing that we were talking about, and this was about, I would say, I don't know, 6-8 months ago, we were talking, right, that there was kind of like this battle that was going on underneath where the US was starting to come after the chips, right? Well, this is the battle back, I think, right? We were waiting to see what really China would do. I think this is their first step in their battle back against the US and trying to impose restrictions against them. Well, they just are just reversing it here. And of course, this came a lot after the G7 conversations. It seems like China was a little bit offended at the G7. So that came right after that. I don't know how much that really had to do with this, or this was already planned. But now I think that we got to also be watching what happens with the semiconductor equipment stocks, right? Like Lam Research, like those type of stocks, right? Those are the kind of stocks that I could see taking a big hit today, right? And so,
And big hit. I mean, this whole China debt. I mean, these are things that are pretty consistent, been going on for quite a long time. I think what we could do now, instead of like trying to predict, because what comes out of China, what the U.S. does is unpredictable. Uh, they bought the dip in this Micron. I mean, if you were up 63.54 is the pre-market low, you're almost $3 off that. So far, the street is not too, it's shrugging off. At least they're buying it dip. Still, if you're coming long, you're down, whatever, 220. But that's way off the low of the session. Let's just look at made the high of the move on Thursday. Let's just keep it simple. 66.43 was yesterday's low, Friday's low. We're above it now. So I'd say as long as this holds to 66.43, maybe you'll see the close at 68.17. I think on a pullback here, if they come in really start to hit it, it's gonna take a while to get down to that pre-market low. Your next daily low, 65.08. That's still $2 away. Now AMD, wow, I saw this. Dennis, you still got your AMD?
Yeah, I'm still on AMD.
Great. Okay. That's hasn't been affected by the news as much. Had a great run last week. I'd just be looking at this the close and see if you could establish a bid over the close. 105.82 was the close. The high for the move was made on Thursday at 108.10, and then Nvidia. Holy mackerel! Did this thing even blink at 300? Not really. You see the inside day from yesterday. Minor resistance at that close, 1264. High the move, 1678. Dennis, you got any comments on the chips?
Obviously get the pullback here, Micron today. They're already buying the dip. So if you go back to MU, it was down $3 or $4 here just a few minutes ago. So I mean, we're ripping, roaring higher here now. I'm not sure if something else was said here, but if you look at MU just in the last 20 minutes, it has really started to rally back. And you're seeing all the chips come back. They were all down heavily this morning. Micron got down the 63 handle. It's a 66 handle. They cannot lay off buying chips. So as soon as you get a little bit of a dip, they're just people are so underweight the chips, and they think the AI movement, every time chips are pulling back, Micron, NVIDIA, AMD, they're finding quick buyers here. So same thing, MU here today. Pulls back $5 off the hop. That was silly, obviously, and it's only down 2 here now. So buy the dippers already emerging here at 8:09 in the morning.
Okay, at 8:08, there was a report put out by Reuters here. I think that's what got this moving. So definitely, they're
What was
saying
the report?
Micron Technology says to continue cooperating with Cybersecurity Administration of China and working to understand details about their security concerns. And that came from Reuters. Yeah. And that was right at 8:08. We have it in the Benzinga Pro, of course, at 8:08:41. So you can see, right, like right before even 8:08, it hit there right on the tape. Started to move there.
Yeah. So we're seeing big bounces here in the chips here right now.
Does that completely shake it off, you think, Dennis?
No, I don't think it'll completely shake it off. Micron's its own animal too. I mean, DRAM, I mean, it's a funny stock. So it's a stock that I struggle to trade, and I've actually had on the restricted list before, but then I take it off. It's a very hard stock to trade because there's so much independent news coming out of this thing all the time. I mean, the last time Samsung came out, remember, and Samsung was cutting production,
Yep.
and they're like, they bought Micron up 10%. It was one of my worst trades in over a year. I was short Micron, and it just ripped, rallied on that. And I was like, how does this make any sense? Came back in 5 days later, but at the time, it just, this stock, just like on headlines, it's like most wicked headline stock. You get a headline on it and they hammer it like they did this morning, and then you get the upside and then they rip it. It is like a headline stock, and if you try to trade something like this technically, you get whipsawed on headlines on this one. I hate trading the stock.
All right. Micron's going to be definitely an interesting situation today. We'll see how it affects technology overall. I mean, that's what's been lifting all tides, right? We'll see if that can continue going there. Now, let's get to the next major headline. Let's go and talk a little bit about Meta, of course, and they're being hit with a record 1.2 billion euro fine by its lead European Union privacy regulator over its handling of user information, and given 5 months to stop transferring users' data to the United States.
You see this headline, I feel like, come out of Meta once a month, where it's something, to do with the way they're using users' data, the way where they're selling the data, and they hammer the stock and then they just buy it back. So the ultimate buy the dip stock has been Meta here for the last 6 months. Is this headline going to be the one that breaks it? I don't think so. There could be another headline that breaks it, but I don't think this is the one. It's already having the dip bot here too. This buy the dip mentality in this market is just unbreakable.
Nice.
Especially in the tech, that is.
Yeah, well, for right now, I mean, someone came right in and made a stand right at the 242 area. 41.90 is your pre-market low. I'm not seeing anything there on the dailies as far as your daily lows. Let's hold Friday's low at 43.41, and then go up. I mean, if they're really going to buy the dip on this one, they'll perhaps test the close at 45.64. 4-day win streak in Meta here, but if you don't hold this 43.41, soft support here 242. Your next daily low you may get a look at is 241.19 in Meta, and that look. Didn't we get the dip that it did after the last earnings? It had a decent sell off here. Wasn't more than like 7-8 points, and it right back up.
This is what we're in. We're in the market of momentum. We're in the market of rotation. We're in the market of the trend is your friend on individual stocks. There's been no trend really on the S&P until recently when we started breaking out here. But I tell you, a lot of chop on the S&P. But I tell you, on the individual tech stocks, you can clearly see tech has been in the uptrend. The IWM has been in the downtrend. That is trying to break as the regional banks start to show a little bit of strength here. And that's why, you were asking me earlier why, the S&P started to break out. I think it's the laggard, Trey. You saw, Thursday and Friday morning where they started to come in, buying some regionals, buying some laggards. That kind of came off a little bit Friday afternoon. They started hitting the regionals back here again. But I mean, you've got just the tale of two markets, and it continues. Your relentless strength in anything tech, especially AI related, and then the relative weakness in everything that's smaller, IWM, etc. So does that eventually change? I think so. But right now, trend has been your friend on tech for a long time.
All right, we'll see what happens there in that. But now I want to bring us over to something to keep an eye out for today. So, of course, there's going to be 2 big investor day events, and you've got to keep an eye out for these because we could get something hitting the tape in the intraday. We'll get JP Morgan Chase and Ford Investor Day today, so pay attention. And also for Ford, there is news out there. Energy Source Minerals announced a contract with Ford for geothermal lithium. So that could be giving Ford already a little bit of a jump up. I'm sure we'll hear more about that today at the Investor Day. So stay tuned for that. JP Morgan Chase also, of course, maybe we get some banking news coming out of that. So keep your eyes on JP Morgan and Ford.
Boy, oh boy, Ford, you still get that under $12, up 6 cents, not really moving off it. We talked about, the GMs hanging out here, no low of the move. Once again, this whole, tale of two markets, we're, look at this. Tell someone that owns Ford or GM here that you're in a bull market. And
Oh
GM's
yeah,
had nothing but great earnings reports. So we could talk about the housing
nothing but
stocks
great
and
reports, and they just don't
look at
care
it.
because they don't see them as anything to do with technology or AI.
Nope.
And it's again the tale of two markets here. And Tesla has, since the Musk interview with Faber, has had this strong bid. And why? He didn't say anything about, he kind of talked about, sales going down. He talked about a tough second half. He talked a lot of bad stuff. But what he said was key, and this is all the market cares about, is that Tesla's an AI company, and that in a year and a half, these cars are going to be driving themselves. And people have bought that stock ever since. Anything to do with AI, people are gasping to get in there. So, I mean, this is just the way this market is right now. The hot story is AI, and that has really no signs of breaking here yet. It will break eventually. And I think that story is real, though. That's the one thing about AI. I think on the pullbacks here, some of these stocks that are positioned well are going to be buys. Tesla is seen as an AI company, complete separation here, starting to show life, and that's completely because of that Musk interview.
And it filled the gap, the earnings gap. Wouldn't get fill it on the downside. Did fill it on the upside on Friday, up 79 cents. Trading in the pre-market. So always like to look at where it was at 180.59, where it was at the day that it had, I believe, what was that, earnings when it had the drop. So important, filled the gap. But let's establish a bid here above 180, work our way up perhaps to 190. But gap fill in Tesla on the upside here.
All right, I'm going to keep it moving here. Let's go to top ratings of the day today. There's a couple of them that I feel are really important. Let's get to those action. DraftKings, the first one, and then we'll get to lovely Apple. DraftKings shares are trading higher after UBS upgraded the stock from neutral to buy and raised its price target from 19 to $30. Now, I will let you guys know that I didn't give DraftKings money, but I definitely gave some sports betting money this last weekend.
Oh, yeah, yeah. How about your Heat?
Of
Can you
course, the
believe it?
Miami Heat, baby. Can I believe it, Joel? Come on, baby. This is what we do. Miami Heat tough, baby. This is what we do. It's the Miami Heat culture,
Cheer
baby.
for winning teams. I
The
cheer for
only
losing
team,
teams.
the only NBA team that has 3 undrafted players and has gotten them to where they are today. So if you want to get better, you might want to go to the Heat.
Who
That's
are
what I
the
would
3
say.
undrafted players?
You got Strus, you got Vincent, and of course Martin. And if you really look, one thing that I would tell you is that the Miami Heat, it's all about the next man up mentality. And I think that we all need to be kind of the next man up mentality. What does that mean? That you're always ready. You're always on top of your game, trying to work to that level so that when your name gets called, you're ready to go and ready to play. As you guys see, Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, and
You don't want to
also,
get him mad, right?
and also Duncan Robinson. You
Yeah,
gotta
Duncan.
give it to my boy.
Look,
It's Spoelstra. I'll give it to your coach and Pat Riley.
That's who it
Okay.
really is.
Sports digression. They're gonna.
I had to.
fell asleep in
DraftKings.
basketball
DraftKings.
DraftKings, high of the move.
You fell asleep then is because you weren't watching hockey.
Oh yeah.
I know. I'm a hockey guy up here. And
I know. I don't.
Hey,
yeah.
go
It's
Panthers.
the worst. Like, I
Go
don't
Panthers.
know. I just can't get into this playoffs.
No,
I
fifth
heard. I don't
overtime
want
here.
to. Let's
No
not talk
fifth
about it.
overtime here. So let's get into DraftKings. You
DraftKings
guys think it's
popped
still a
over
buy?
high of the move 25.34. That was your high on the earnings day, and they're respecting that so far in the pre-market trading. 25.09 is your pre-market high. So it's the only area I can give you of potential resistance. I don't know what company it was that did this. UBS 24.58's been the high close of the move. I'll be happy if you're a bull, you just want to see it close above that. And then Penn, has that gotten off the mat yet?
No.
Wow, no,
They've
it
got
hasn't.
Penn just coupled in with the major casinos because they're online. So if you look, it's been weak. Penn just can't get anything going.
Okay.
DraftKings, I mean, it's hard to fade when you get an upgrade on a stock that's been having in such an uptrend. It seems to continue. So I think this could break it out. I think we take out the 25-35 high on DraftKings here today. This is the tale of two markets. You got DraftKings versus Penn, which two stocks that I used to pair trade together to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Tale of two markets. They don't like Penn. They like DraftKings. Again, Penn, has the physical casinos too. So, maybe that holds it back. The Barstool Sports, a lot of different stuff going on there. But I mean, these two stocks used to be somewhat related, not at all anymore. They're just completely broken down. DraftKings continues to get stronger here. DKNG rocking and rolling. I think it's breaking out to new highs this year.
You know what I just caught, guys? I just caught that Churchill Downs is actually doing a split today. 2 for 1, I'm seeing right now.
Oh, yeah.
2 for 1 split.
There you go. Bring it down here. Make it easier to trade.
Yeah, that was interesting. I just caught that right now, looking in the industry. So, and definitely, Penn has gotten nowhere, man. I don't know about that company. It just can't get the lift.
It's just the separation here. Again, stock pickers market. They like one stock and they don't like others, and that doesn't change. I mean, this is just the way this market is here. And sometimes it's warranted and sometimes it's just the analyst piling on too. Helps, Joel. I mean, you've got a stock here that's up. It pulls back a little bit. Analyst upgrades it, goes up. It pulls back a little bit. Another analyst upgrades it. I mean, how much is driven by analysts piling on? Like we can credit a lot, with momentum, retail, Wall Street bets, whatever you want. How much is driven on these momentum plays by just the analyst pile on? Every time a video pulls back, we get another upgrade or we get something else because they all freaking chase price. That's what they do. So, I mean, you've got to be the same thing. You got to almost just be buying the stocks. Again, that's why we keep saying buy dips on the stocks and uptrends, sell rips on the stocks and downtrends because those trends just continue because there's so many momentum systems out there. The analysts are all riding momentum too. They're all scared to make contrarian calls. And I mean, for good reason, because contrarian calls are tough. Again, when you find chop, you can play that. But, if you're just shorting stocks and uptrends here, it's been a tough year. Those stocks continue to go higher.
All right.
I wonder, NVIDIA, remember those guys that we were making fun of them that were like upgrading it with the price targets at like 250, 260, and they showed us on that one, man. They did.
Man,
remember
that
they
kept
did.
going,
They stuffed it in our hat, man.
I used to call the Tesla the dragon. NVIDIA slowly but surely taking over that name.
I mean,
you don't want to get in front of it, man.
Lamera. I mean, who was it? They just keep raising their price targets on it, and it got to them. Now they're going to have to raise them again. Holy mackerel! S&P's no offers in sight here. We're up 4.5 handles, 42.09. Just a drift higher.
The bulls are in complete control now here. We've broken out the last couple days. Regional banks have stopped going down to a certain extent here. But, you get these pullbacks, like Micron down $5. More like, oh, and they come back and they buy it back. I mean, it's just so relentless. And it doesn't matter. Like, throw fundamentals out the window. Our earnings reports haven't been great. We have risk, China. There's all kinds of stuff to worry about. But it doesn't matter. Right now, as a trader, bulls are in charge. You've got to go with it.
All right, let's go to now. Of course, I wonder if they'll buy this one. Apple shares trading lower, of course, after Loop Capital downgraded Apple to hold from buy here, and definitely getting a little bit of a hit there. What do you guys think about this? Or is this a dip that might be bought?
As long as it's above 170, bulls are still in control here. So 170s would be my line in the sand. You get the 160, 170s was the high back end of April. Then we dipped down there 4 days ago, got 170.42. So as long as it stays above 170, the bulls are in control. Again, I'm not buying any of these things in my long-term portfolio because they've just run too far and the valuations are too high. But I mean, as trades here, yeah, you're buying the dip.
Down a $1.63, quite a bit off the pre-market low. Pre-market low comes in at 172.60. This is a little bit different setup than you have in the Micron because you're considerably below Friday's low. Friday's low came in at 174.94. 175 is a double close area. High the move on Friday, 75.16. So I like that as resistance. Coming back on the downside. Wow, that almost matched. The 2-day low, 72.58, and your pre-market low, 172.60. So there's your setups in Apple, not quite bouncing back as much as the Micron Dennis, you were just talking about what a difficult stock it is to trade. Pops over 67 there just for a second. Now back in the 65 handle, down 267 at
Hardest stock to
65.
trade. Micron, if you're just starting trading, this is I believe this may be the hardest tech stock to trade. It does its own thing. Its headlines are random, off DRAM, off Samsung, off this. It's just the king of random headlines. You got a China random headline overnight. There's some stocks are predictable when the headlines are going to come. You got the earnings, you've got this. This just has random headlines hit it. It seems like once a week. And if you're trying to trade it off of technicals, it's like, oh, it's looking good. It's breaking out. This is the one I want to be. And then boom, boom. Oh, it's down $5. Like, what just happened? Shakes you out, gets you out, and then they rally it back here again. MU, I've never had this conversation before, but it might be the most difficult tech stock to trade that's out there. So I still tried trading it. I don't know why. I should not trade this stock. I should look at my reports.
You should look at your sheet from
I
last
can pretty
year.
much guarantee you I lose money trading Micron. Hard stock.
All right, let's keep it going. Let's get to the next headline here. We'll go to Plug Powers. You still got that, Dennis? You let it go.
Did I have Plug?
Yeah, I think for a little while you wanted to get in it. I don't know if you ever did get in it. You wanted to play it for the. Oh no, it was not. It wasn't Plug. It was Palantir. That's what I confused it with.
That's a big difference. Yeah,
big difference. Big difference. No, do you still got that?
So I complained about this one on the show
mackerel.
on Friday. No, I got shaken out of this, and I screwed this trade up so badly. I was
I'm
calling
sorry
this
for bringing
AI
it up.
play.
I'm that guy.
I had Mitch. I think, a quadruple-sized position on it. I was big in Palantir. And it just kept leaking and leaking, and then I sold half. And I'm like, what are you going to do? I mean, I was in an 850. It was going to 9. It was looking good. It's 850, 825, 8. Takes out the 8 support. I'm like, we're breaking down. I'm like, the story is just not grabbing. I can't believe it's not grabbing. And then I was on Joel's show on At the Close, and I talked about the earnings report before it reported. And I was like, I should rebuy my Palantir because on the conference call, they'll be talking a lot about AI. They start talking about AI on the conference call, Mitch, and it's never looked back. So sometimes you just got to think logically of what's going to happen. People didn't see it as an AI story, and then they mention it like crazy on the conference call, and now they can't stop thinking about it as an AI story. So I was ahead of the trade. I had good timing. Multiple people reached out to me and thanking me for Palantir, so I hope some other people held it because I was really bullish this stock, but I got shaken out of it. And it goes to show you, I mean, this is the way the market is. It's, not a simple market. Sometimes you can be right and get your timing wrong. You lose money and you're like, wow, how did I lose money on that one? Bad timing.
Did I think this moved off? Did this move off Kathy on Thursday? I'm looking.
Yeah, she bought a whole pile. Yes,
Yep.
it did.
Yeah.
That helps. That helps.
Yeah.
Kathy she's back. She's
back.
In.
I was talking about it. I did a show last week that I said Kathy's back, baby. It was all about that.
We talked about it on the show too, Mitch, when you were gone. I was like, I like the quadruple bottom in ARKK. I kind of like ARKK here, the setup right now. Look at this quad bottom, Mitch. Yeah. Look at, from and Joel, you can see it too.
Undercut and rally too.
The 12th, the 15th, the 16th, and the 17th quad bottom there. So we even lined it up there on Thursday and saying, hey, you've got your line in the sand here. This is obviously where you stop yourself out, and there's room here. So I think there's still room in ARKK. If the market continues to go higher, it's got to be good for ARKK. So if you think this market's breaking out, especially if it's going to be AI driven, it's got to be good for ARKK. So I stopped myself out again. If you're looking to protect yourself, that 37.5 is a huge level, but I think there's room to 40. I kind of like ARKK right now. I'm bullish Kathy right now.
You're bullish Kathy. Well,
I'm with you, Dennis.
You gave some good downside there, right? The old quad bottom, but I'm looking on the upside here too, and I see some potential resistance. At least I know you said 40. I'm just looking at this whole 39.50. You hit even a little bit lower than that. 39.17 was a high on April 19th. And then 39.43. Yeah, I mean, there's a couple highs in that area. If you want to buy it on strength instead of weakness here, I think you get above that 39.25 area. You get a good look at 40, and then this is probably the tops. Dennis has mentioned 40, 50. There's a trio of highs. But Kathy, moving something to the upside, Palantir, and Good. That was Dennis. Yeah, man.
It's a beautiful throwback look too, what I call the throwback look, right? And so as soon as you get through the trend line, there's a trend line that runs right through there, through the 3750. You get above towards, of course, the 39, and then you get that nice pullback right to the trend line. Multiple days just hanging out there. Yeah, that seems like to me easily technical buying. It doesn't even have to have the story there. So we'll see
We
what
do
happens.
have one thing to consider on ARKK. She's got a huge position in Zoom.
Yes.
So we have Zoom
That's one to
reporting
keep in mind.
tonight.
Nice.
So
nice,
you've
nice
got to be
move there, Dennis.
somewhat careful with buying today because it could get hit, relatively speaking.
Look at
The
that
market
rally.
Zoom disappoints. And we gave you this one too, Zoom. So we were right. I mean, a lot of people were right, we're wrong. You're not going to be right 100% of the time. You're right 55%
We
of the time.
did.
You're going to make money. We talked about Zoom set up at 64. And we're like, this is actually setting up to, run into earnings. And this is one that has run into earnings. I've had it and traded it from the long side a few times last week. It's been a good one moving up here into the report. I will not hold it through the report.
70 looks big on the upside for Zoom, of course, with the report. Anything 70-10, and then you hit what you hit on Friday, 70-12. So that's a good area. Let's see Zoom. It's after the bell today, and then we get into some retail earnings stocks tomorrow. But you never thought, wow, look at that rally in Zoom. It's at $70, but nice move just in the month of May. I certainly wasn't selling May and go away in Zoom. The easiest product in the world to use.
All right, let me run right quickly through that plug news because I did kind of chop that up, but let's get right back through that, and then we'll go to our guest just coming up right after this.
Sure.
Plug lands 3 electrolyzer deals for European green hydrogen projects in its hard decarbonized industries. So that's definitely giving Plug a little bit of a lift here. Of course, this is kind of like off the bottom. And one thing that I would know is that remember when we were talking about Plug in the kind of the 2020 time, this thing went to like 74. We kind of always reminded that, I mean, hydrogen really hasn't taken off, right? And I don't think it ever will. I mean, this has been a company that's been trying to do this for now. It looks like like 30 years. It just doesn't seem like it's ever going to kick off. That's what I would say about hydrogen.
It's been, in the story here, it got hot. All stories got hot in 2021. Everybody got bailed out. Long-term bag holders were getting bailed out. We talked about this back in 2021 too. Remember the one time I looked at my long-term portfolio in 2021, and I had like 80 stocks in there, and 3 were red. I'm like, this is not normal to have 77 of your 80 stocks, so they only go long in my long-term portfolio, to be up. And that was the biggest selling opportunity, was this 2021. Just sell it all and go to cash then. And, it was just so many stocks, like long-term bag holders and all these others, Plug Power, going from 5 to 70. It was just all silly town. And you know what? We've come back to reality. And now you're getting separation. Good companies, bad companies, companies' stories that stayed hot, company stories that are not hot. I agree with you here, Mitch. I don't see Plug Power as hydrogen story, as the turnaround. This is what's going to change. I mean, we've moved on from this, so I think the story is over. Sometimes stories cool off, and sometimes they're over. I feel like the Plug Power story is over.
Yeah, I mean, just from a technical standpoint, this has not been over $8 in a while, or at least hold 8. So trading up 41 cents. So if you can hold 8 here, it doesn't look like there's much in 8 handle till you get up to 885. But we talk a lot about AI, right? And a while ago, we had on Rob Locascio. He's the founder and CEO over there at Live Person, and we're going to bring him in for an update. Good morning, Rob. How you doing on this this Monday morning?
Good. How are you doing?
Good, good. So we had you on a while ago, just after your last earnings report, and you had a lot to say to us. So you had another earnings report, a little bit better. But first, let's get an update on what you're hearing from the big companies, the C-suites, about AI and their risks and their benefits.
Yeah, we launched our generative AI products about 2 weeks ago on May 2nd. And, there's definitely demand in the market for these products. Obviously, we've been an AI company, but we added all the new technology around it. The biggest part is they're looking for safety and security, and a lot of what we've seen is with ChatGPT and everything is some challenges, and they call hallucinations where the AI gives you sort of fake information. So we're really focused on what we call EAI, enterprise AI, and that's to bring safety, security, and scalability to using this technology. But we're one of the first to the market. We're GA. They're out there. Our customers are using it in production right now, and so it's no longer a toy. It's something that's actually going to drive business outcomes for our customers.
And what about new use cases for AI? And not only how are they going to drive growth for your company,
Yeah.
but for the people that you're doing work for, their brands, and also like how are we going to use AI in travel, retail, finance, healthcare, telecoms, etc.
Yeah, so we have about 100 of the largest brands in the world, about 3,000 total customers. We got the big telcos and banks and insurance companies, and they've been using our platform to drive the conversations with their consumers. So they automate those conversations and your messaging. Even now we have voice AI, but the big opportunity is the data set. We sit on 1 billion conversations every year produced on our platform. But if we take a specific brand like a telco, those are the conversations that consumers are having with the customer support reps or the sales teams. And what we're doing is that we're giving access to that information to other departments. So for instance, a marketing department can come in and say, tell me the top 10 reasons that customers are not buying an Apple, an iPhone. Tell me what ad campaign I can create to sell more iPhones, let's say. So our data set's so rich that, I was with a customer the other day, and their IT guy came in. He asked the machine, what are the top reasons people are having problems with our website? And the machine told him, here's the top reasons, because the consumer data set which is very powerful, and that's that drives other business outcomes. So we're seeing now we're going to proliferate the access to that data through the large language models, through generative AI, to other people in the organization, and that's a big opportunity for us.
All right. Now, one thing I wanted to ask you, Rob, I just came back from VCon 2023, and there was a lot of talk of how AI and blockchain would come together to help us validate data sets, right? We all see those deep fake videos out there. I don't know if anyone has seen the Jerome Powell one. That one's really funny. I would tell you to check it out. But definitely, of course, as we get closer and closer, more usage for AI, how will blockchain also come into this? Are you guys looking at that technology to help?
Yeah, we're not focused as much on blockchain right now, but you can think about the authentication of data sets, authentication of people. Definitely, the deep fake perspective or that can happen is real. I synthesized myself, my voice, and I've loaded data in. You can talk to me now through a phone number, and so you would never know it's not me. And so the ability to then take that and use that in an abusive way or steal that is really what I think how the blockchain can come together. But right now, the exciting part with AI is that the data sets are really where there's going to be a tremendous value. We've been talking about the large language models, but now the data sets is where people are starting to focus and say which companies have these proprietary data sets that can power a high quality outcome with AI.
So am I talking to Rob or the Rob AI?
Yeah, that's what I want to know.
I'm so tempted on my next quarterly call to have my AI. Like after doing 92 quarterly calls, whatever I've done, I'm just going to send the AI out. First, I'm going to see if I can spoof my wife and see if she doesn't know it's me.
Oh boy!
Use cases out there are
there are
definitely
use cases
growing, man.
Watch out for the AI. So.
The future of technology. If you could really pull something like that off. Okay, I think the big thing about AI right now is just the lack of trust.
Yes.
in the tech companies. And like, you just mentioned that, you're privy to, whatever, 1 billion conversations on something. I think that's a big concern for consumers that, this data, if it got in the wrong hands, of the wrong people. But talk about the lack of trust of the tech companies and what can we do about it?
Yeah, so this is a big concern because I've said this for many years, and actually, I created a nonprofit called Equal AI 4.5 years ago. That's focused on about this idea of trust and data sovereignty and privacy and bias and all of that. So we created this nonprofit that's out there working with the largest companies. So I have a real strong point of view on the fact that AI is obviously the next largest companies will be AI companies. That's why everyone's in it. Even the current big tech are vying for who's going to win that war. And I think we have an opportunity now to change the game, as in we saw what happened in search and in social media. And it just eroded the trust in technology. And I've been doing this since 1995, and it wasn't always like that. It happened over the last 10, 15 years. We have to establish rules in which AI is being used, especially by the companies, but also for people's personal uses. So I think where it's all going to go is eventually I'll have my own AI, but my models also around that AI, which will be localized on my machine, on my phone. I ultimately I have to own my own data. I have to own the models that are being trained around that data, and models are getting much more easy to use and cheaper to use, and they can run on a handset. So this is where I think the consumer will own their own models, their own data set, and then the business has theirs, and then they come together to get things done. But I think that's the way it'll play out, and the largest AI companies will adhere to that. So I do agree. I actually think we have a shot at redefining the trust in technology, but I don't think it's going to come from big tech. I just think they did what they did, and they kind of. I don't think you can put the genie back in the bottle right now for them. But I think companies like ours can create a new narrative, a new future.
Exactly. Now, Rob, I'd like to ask you, of course, about your recent report and how
Yeah.
you see your company reaching its milestones. Anything down the pipeline that we should also keep an eye out for?
Yeah, I mean, in Q1, we were on the top end of the guidance for revenue. We beat the EBITDA number. As last quarter I talked about we did this massive restructuring to get the company profitable and to get us in a place that we could focus down on this big opportunity. So, I mean, we have a strong business model now, and we're building now growth from that. And for us, it's just continuing to execute on releasing these new products. It's an exciting time. We're in a kind of a pole position because there's only about 10 of us in the world that you can say, I mean, we have 400 million in revenue that have the size and scope of our customer base. We have the technology. We've been involved with this technology for over 5 years, and we're vying for the win against big tech and other companies. But there's only a handful of us. In public, there's only a couple of us. So I think it's a great opportunity now, especially for investors to bet in. And obviously, our shares got pretty hit after the last quarter, but there's an opportunity here now as we feel it. We're excited about it.
Now, one thing that has been talked about, and I also caught it from Airbnb's earnings report, is an automated concierge, right? And I think that this is where AI really comes into play now, right? One thing that I'm thinking about AI, and I heard this kind of being talked about, is seeing it at kind of like a smart buddy with you, right? Not necessarily all the answers, but someone that you could definitely go to help you continue to push kind of efficiency higher, keep, of course, expenses lower. How is this going to be an automated concierge for businesses out there, Rob?
Yeah, we call it a digital twin. So,
I like it.
There's going to be this digital twin of me, and that digital twin is going to go out in the market and do things for me, because it's still so hard to work with brands. This is what we do for a living, like working with an insurance company and getting them to pay a bill for something. Like I had this with a dentist. They didn't want to pay for my cavity to get filled, and they sent me something, and I'm like, I don't have the time to call for $150. You just want to send your AI out to take care of that, and that'll be possible. Or book a trip for me, find out a trip for my family, and really discover the type of trip I should take. So this is all within reach now. It's something that I've been thinking about for a while. once again, I do think this digital twin has to be mine. I have to own the data, I own the model, and I send it out. And then the brands have an interface to communicate with them to get things done. But world's going to get much easier for us. Technology is about bending the arc of time, and how do I get more time back? And AI and what it can do with these digital assistants can really do that. And that's our vision too. We see that as part of our overall play as we move more and more, up market to the consumer.
One more question for you, and this is not so much related to your company, but just overall, we've been hearing about autonomous driving, right? And self-driving cars. It's been talked about for a while. Tesla actually, made a claim that a year and a half or two they'll
Yeah.
be much more. You've been in the industry for a while. You've seen the evolution. You've seen the up and downs. Where do you think we are at, and really realistically, that coming to fruition?
I mean, the first time I rode an autonomous car was at a conference we did at Carnegie Mellon 6 years ago, and they were partnering with Uber. And I remember I got in the car and the car took off. They did have an engineer behind the wheel, but he was on his laptop. And literally, we made it all the way around the city, and that was 6 years ago. And I was like, wow, I was just blown away by what it could do. So that's kind of done. I mean, I don't think we're far off from there. I just think if every car was an autonomous vehicle, it actually would be done, because then you wouldn't have people that potentially could hit another car. Think about it, if every car had that technology, that's when it turns over. So I think it's just a question of, when does every car get enabled with it, so that all cars are communicating with each other and they know where they are. But the ability to look around and see that there's a human or walking, or there's a dog coming out in front of you, I mean, that stuff is there. So I just feel like the car manufacturers just need to put it in as a standard. And once we get it as a standard, we're kind of done. And I think that's just a question of time. How long does it take to overturn every car and put new cars out, or even the used cars, for them to get some implementation of this? But that technology is kind of done. That's the way I see it today.
Well, definitely, guys, check out, of course, LPSN live
Yeah.
person, and we'll have you back on. Rob, thank you for giving us a little bit of a, step inside of the future with AI, and we'll definitely be keeping up with your company. Looking forward to hearing more. Appreciate it, Rob.
Guys. Thanks a lot, guys.
Take care.
Bye.
All right, let's take a peek back into the market and see how everything's looking. What are you seeing underneath the hood, Joel?
Yeah, I mean, we got a rally. We got up to 42.1050, just a creeper rally here. Not much on the upside, as I mentioned on Friday. We made a new high for the move at 42.2775. That's 20 handles away. That's a target. High close of the move is bid 42.12. And that was on Thursday. So we stopped shy of the pre-market. I mean, the Bulls got to step up here. They defended 4,200 2 days in a row with two closes. Let's see if we can do it 3 days in a row.
All right, let's go to the next news here. We're going to go to Zim Integrated Shipping Earnings. I don't know if you guys watched this one, but an interesting chart, and I'm sure Dennis has something cool that he wants to tell you guys.
106% yield, I don't think is sustainable. So it pays that huge dividend. The problem is the stock goes down by more than the dividend continuously here. So this is.
I don't know how they reaffirm fiscal year guidance on this. But
I don't know. The fundamentals always sound pretty good on this thing, but the stock just continues to go lower. And we give Kramer heat sometimes. He's been absolutely right on this. He was like, sell this thing at 60, 50, 40, 30, 20. He's been bearish this thing all the way down. So he's got this one absolutely right. So props, Jim Kramer. I don't touch this thing. I don't understand it. Obviously you can see 106% dividend. You're like, oh, this is great. But then, the thing will fall. I know it's going to fall 100% next year, because that would be at zero, but it just seems to continue to fall more than the dividend. So at a certain point in time, they were telling me, oh, it's got a 30% dividend. It's got a 50% dividend. It's got an 80%. Now it's got 106% dividend, because the stocks went from 80 to 60 to 40 to 30 to 20 to $16. I don't know. Trend absolutely not your friend in this one. I have no idea when this thing turns around.
I got hit today, trying to bounce back off the pre-market low. This kind of reminds me of dry ships. Remember when they kept on doing the reverse splits? This one, we've been talking about the dividend for a while, but just
the dry ship story is never.
Yeah, That
that was
never
a horrible
ended.
story. Yeah, I know they just kept reverse playing. The stock just kept going lower. I guess it's finally gone, but yeah, that was
You know
just
what
not
I
a good
pulled
story.
up? Triple BY is gone. Or mine.
Yeah, it's what's went off the board. It's on the
When did it
bulletin
go?
board.
Oh, okay. Because
BB.
Yeah,
It's
there's
got
enough.
5 symbols now. What is it,
Oh
Mitch?
man.
BBBYQ or something?
BBBYQ, exactly. You got it,
I
Dennis.
just guessed it.
You got it,
So
my
you're
friend.
18 cents there.
Yeah,
You know what I was in
lovely
over the
18
weekend, though? I was in
cents.
Toronto over the weekend here and in the Eaton Center, and Nordstrom going out of business in the Eaton Center. JWM store closing. They're selling like everything. They were selling the shelves. They were selling the mirrors on the
Ooh.
wall, selling everything. I'm like, holy man, this is not what you want to see if you were along this stock. So, I mean, and obviously I've had Kohl's, and you wonder if that doesn't go the same way here too.
They need to call Ryan Cohen because that's the only way
that
thing's getting
JWN
up.
is in trouble. I mean, if that's, I don't know how they're doing in the
man.
States, but they're closing her down in the Eaton Center here. I mean,
Dillard's in trouble.
Dillard's is never in trouble. I had no idea what the Dillard story is, how they have separated themselves from the Nordstroms and from the Macy's and the Kohl's. I have no idea. No, Dillard's is its own animal. That's another do not trade stock.
Last 4 months, though, red candles.
Yeah, Dennis. Dillard's coming in.
Dennis like, I'm not getting in front of that rocket.
No. And Nordstrom here, like you think, 5% dividend, they'll eventually turn it around. Stores closing. It feels like a Bed Bath & Beyond story. It felt like that to me when I was in there. I was like, oh my gosh, this is like I felt like it feels like it's going the way of Bed Bath & Beyond to Nordstrom. I don't know. Maybe the states are different. Maybe the stories are different. But I see the stock chart, and you see stores closing. The main store in the Eaton Center. That's the biggest, Toronto, biggest city in Canada. It's the biggest mall in Toronto. That's the hub, like the 2-story, 3-story. It's a 3-story store. It's like the main store in the whole dang mall closing down. It's like, oh man, it's not
Did you
good.
buy anything?
I bought a pair of socks, and then I wore the pair of socks all day, and they got a hole in them already. So I'm like, nah, they were supposed to be high quality. Everything was 50% off. Everything.
Man, where you walking, Dennis?
I walked around Toronto, and I got a hole in the socks already. I was like, I guess I know why these were 50% off, because they only one-time use.
Dennis.
One-time use socks.
It's called shoes, man. You can't walk
I was
around
looking
just
more
in
at the shelves. They had the tables. I was looking at that stuff. I was like, man, the deals here are on like.
He's not trying to buy the clothes 50%
no,
off.
I was looking at the
trying
table,
to buy
the clothes
the
and literally
tables.
they had like the nice wooden tables. Like I'm like $400 a wooden table. I'm like, if you're in Toronto and you're buying furniture, the wooden tables in Nordstrom right now, $400. It's like a $2,000 table, and it's like $400. I mean, they had the big mirrors, that you're looking at yourself. The huge mirrors, like 10-foot mirror, huge, commercial mirror. $400, $600.
I see
These
you,
are
Dennis.
Like $3,000-$4,000 mirrors.
You started that garage
there were
sale?
some deals there to be had, but this is not what you want to see if you own the stock.
Yeah, not what you want to see. And
Not
Macy's also in trouble too. You guys see Macy's coming down there. Retail week. There's definitely some retail stocks going to be reporting. Anything on your guys' radar for retail week?
Well, before that, I just Foot Locker, man. Are they like
Foot
not
Locker,
selling?
man.
Are they not selling shoes anymore?
I talked about this for a while when it was up at 45. I talked about how Nike keeps going more to DTC.
Yeah.
And majority of brands are going more to DTC because do they truly need Foot Locker anymore? They do not. I really think so. They don't need them.
We talked about this too. This is not just a story of like retail consumer being slow.
This is
it's
D2C.
A story that you don't need Foot Locker anymore.
Direct to consumer, baby. That's the way that brands want to go.
Yeah, and mall based, everything. This is everything you don't want in a company.
Exactly.
So again, there are dips to buy. We talked about this on Friday. I remember talking about this, and it was 31. And I was like, there are dips to buy in stocks. Foot Locker is not one of those dips. This is not one they're buying right back. This isn't Micron. This isn't Nvidia. This isn't got an AI story behind it. This is a mall-based shoe store where they're going direct to consumer more. This is like the past. You don't want to be in the past. You want to be in the future. I would stay far away from Foot Locker, just my opinion.
Comment from Jay Rice. We like to catch some comments in the chat. He's talking about how look at Crocs, boots, on, right? Direct to consumer.
Why not go those at least over Foot Locker? I mean, if you got to be in the shoes, like, why not go there instead? But I don't even know if you want to be anywhere near this, but I don't see any potential turnaround for Foot Locker here. I don't see any potential turnaround for Nordstrom. All these mall-based retailers are in a world of pain. There are certain stores in the malls are still kind of busy, but again, like, it's just the consumer has changed. And you're right, they're going direct to consumer here, Mitch. It's just a different world here now. And, some companies have adapted to that new world and some companies have not. The Foot Lockers and the Nordstroms are the have-nots.
Yeah, and it's a new change model, I think, that we got to be looking out for. I even see Deck turning around, and I would already start warning a little bit on that stock, because that stock's been on a kind of, it looks like a 1.2, a whole year trend higher. Looks like it really found some
Yeah, they
resistance
got
at
hold on that
500.
foot, boy. There was some sympathy trades there. Look at that,
Mhm.
off
So-
that Foot Locker. Holy mackerel!
All right, let's go. One last news here to get to, and then we'll go to. Actually, you know what? Let's get right towards our TradeZero segment. We can talk about it with TradeZero. Let's do this. All right, let's go to net change up. Let's take a look at net zero and see what we're finding here. And I do see some interesting companies showing up here. First one I want to get into is a news, right? Let's go to Pac West here, as they had news today that shares are trading higher after the company sold $2.6 billion in construction loans to a subsidiary in Kennedy Wilson Holdings. So as you guys can see, the action today starting to bounce back. Definitely even getting a little lift right now, 9:15. We're at 6:33. KRE has been getting a little lift also. How are you guys feeling about regional banking now?
Nice bounce. I say just
Yeah.
I just keep a real close eye on the 660 level. That's a pair of highs from the last two, or no, going back to the beginning of May. I mean, they're not nice rallies in these things, but these big up open. Well, this is not a huge up open, but to me, it's opening into resistance. The overall situation, we haven't lost any more banks since last week, so that's a good thing.
I mean, this is why the market, again, when you guys were away, though, the market started to take off, is because we started getting mass participation for a couple of days. It started to slow a little bit, but the IWM actually moved up to a 1-month high. So, I mean, we haven't seen that for a while. We've held the double bottom in the IWM. If you can get IWM and you can get, the mass stock, like the majority of stocks starting to participate here, that's where this market really will have legs. So, I mean, it has been led by those 5 or 6 stocks, and obviously there's some other stocks participating too. But there's been 300 stocks in the S&P not participating. 300. So, I mean, you get some of those participating, that's where you could really start to see this market go. So far, so good in the last few days. Starting to see some life. I've been taking a position in the IWM in the long-term portfolio, so I feel like there is some value there. But if you get more regional bank failures, that'll collapse. So it's all about the regional banks at the IWM. Hopefully, we don't get any more failures, and hopefully that can continue. And that will propel us up. If we get the IWM starting to bounce back, that's what could propel us up to new highs.
Well, my show last week on Tuesday was really focused towards would China stocks start catching the dip, the China tech names. And it looks like, of course, we're seeing a little bit of a move up higher. I've been focusing on like CWeb and FXI just because I don't want to be towards only one company. I want to try to give myself the tiniest bit of diversity, right? So it's not just maybe one stock that crushes me on an overnight catalyst in China. But what do you guys think about this as we're starting to see CWeb move higher, FXI? What do you guys think?
We saw this happen, Mitch. We saw China catch a bit a few days, and then boom, they implode again. And it's like, holy, like Baba goes from 80 to 90, and it's like, oh, it's starting to finally look good. And boom, boom, boom. It's 2 days, it's right back to 83. Yes, we bounced to 85. Is there value in China stocks? Absolutely. Is there geopolitical risk? Too much. And that's why, that Musk interview. So let's just take it back to the Musk interview again. If you are anywhere in the opinion that Musk could possibly be correct on that interview, and he basically said that it's not a matter of when, this is basically what he said. It's not a matter of if China invades Taiwan, it's a matter of when. That's really what he said. He said one doesn't have to read between the lines. One can read the lines. He basically said China is eventually going to invade Taiwan. The day that happens, China stocks fall 30%. So I'm like, I don't know. I think they hold up, but this is the reason that China is not participating, because we don't know if he's going to do that. We don't know for certain, but it sure sounds like a lot of smart people thinks that Xi is eventually going into Taiwan. And that's why these stocks have underperformed so much. And you can say, in the chat, you can say, oh yeah, we've been talking about this for the last year, me and Money Mitch. But you know what? In the last year, these China stocks have gone nowhere but down. So whatever the reason, even though they haven't invaded, the stocks are still going down. So you still haven't made money being in China. And he hasn't invaded. So, I mean, the geopolitical risk is just too high for me to go long. Even for trades, it's hard, Mitch. Because what if that headline hits overnight? What if that happens? You don't know, when that could happen. I think it's going to happen too. I truly believe, I'm with Musk, that eventually it's going to happen. I don't know when, but the day that happens, it's one, a disaster for all markets, but two, really a disaster for China stocks. So, I mean, if you believe that there's no way Xi's going to go into Taiwan, these China stocks are buys. I don't think that's the case. I think eventually he goes in. I think those China stocks collapse on that day. Absolutely, shocking collapse. So it's scary to be in these stocks.
All right, guys. I'm just going to finish up here, and I'll let you guys do the down filter there. We're up a couple points here. Pre-market high is 42.10.50. Be looking at the close, that high close of the move. We get above 42.12, then let's set our targets on that high from Friday, and let's establish another bid. Let's another close over 4,200. So great to be back with you guys. Go get them out there. I'll be back with you later.
All right, Joel's hopping out of here like always.
I
You guys
gotta
can
go
keep
too.
up
This
with
is a
pre-market
disaster
prep
day for
plus.
me. I'm
Go
on
for
the
it,
wrong
Dennis.
side of all news today.
So I mean,
sometimes you come in when you trade overnight. Sometimes you're gonna be on the right side of the news. Sometimes you're gonna be on the wrong side of the news. It usually balances itself out to a certain extent. You get, I'm on the right side of this piece of news, wrong side of this piece of news. There's some days that you're just like, I'm on the right side of everything. This is just an awesome day. And you have other days I'm just on the wrong side of everything, and this day just sucks. That's one of those days. How do you deal with those days? You take your losses, you move on, you start your day fresh the next day. It's just a matter of, there's a lot of skill set in trading, but on any given day, there's a lot of luck. And what I have to learn, and what I've been trying to learn for my 23 years career, is just not to get frustrated on the days that you're not having luck. You're gonna have bad days. We can't all be Ken Griffin, Citadel, and just making money and printing money every single day forever. He has too many advantages. It's not gonna happen. If we're trading in the real world, which everybody else is, you're gonna have good days, you're gonna have bad days. Shake the bad days off, start with a clear head, take the losers, move on. That's how you survive.
That's how you do it, baby. Go do what you do best, Dennis.
See you, Mitch.
Get to your trading action, my friend. All right, we're going to get you guys over, of course, to live trading. That's coming up next. Don't go anywhere, team. I'm super excited to get into some live trading action. Of course, I've been out of the hot seat, so we're going to focus in on growing the small account, right? Been growing the small account, already up about 10% on that small account. And Ryan's up even more than I am. So if you guys want to see what's going on in the small account challenge, and of course, some of our day trading and swing trading action, come up to the next show right now. Don't go anywhere, team. I want to see you guys there. And of course, I do want to apologize publicly to the book club. I was a little bit, just a tiny bit tired yesterday. You guys could probably see it, even the bags in my eyes today, but I was working hard all weekend long, team. Some days working even up to 14 hours a day. So if you guys can do me the favor, you guys want to join the book club this week, because this Sunday, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a special session. It's going to be an hour long. I'll combine 2 sessions together. We'll run through the book. We'll get through it. I'm really ready to go into more books. I got books from the conference. I got some free books that I really want to get us to. And get us to that next level. So if you guys want to join the book club, we got over 500 members now. So definitely proud of you guys out there wanting to learn and up your skills. Now coming up, we got live trading. Don't go anywhere, team. And I hope that you guys enjoyed all the action today. And don't forget, like always, guys, this is all for informational purposes only, not investment advice. And opinions do not represent those of Benzinga. Hosts and guests may maintain positions in the securities discussed here today. Now to bring you over to live trading, and hit the like on your way out.